RBI, Income Tax Act, Companies Act, most of the financial laws in our country have got very, very, very serious regulations trying to counter money laundering. And they are known as AML, anti-money laundering regulations. There are many of them. One such money laundering, anti-money laundering regulation is the KYC norms, the Know Your Customer norms, which say that you have to get all the details about a customer before you transact with him. Anyway, moving away from there, Binami transaction. What is Binami transaction? എന്തെങ്കിലും മേടിക്കുമ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ പേരിൽ മേടിക്കാണ്ട് എൻ്റെ ഡ്രൈവറിൻ്റെ പേരിൽ മേടിക്കുക. ഞാൻ ചെയ്യുന്ന കച്ചവടം എൻ്റെ പേരിൽ കാണിക്കാതെ ഡ്രൈവറിൻ്റെ പേരിൽ കാണിക്കുക. Okay, you might have heard many stories of these kind. സിനിമയിലൊക്കെ കേട്ട് കാണും, ഇതെൻ്റെ ബിനാമിയാണ്. This is what it is. I'm not going further in. Again, it is a subject on its own. I'm only trying to tell you what are the kind of frauds that happens in a corporate. Unauthorized withdrawal of funds. How do I withdraw funds without authority? ഒരു ATM കാർഡും പാസ്വേഡും കിട്ടിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എനിക്ക് അൺഓത്തറൈസ്ഡ് വിഡ്രോവൽസ് ചെയ്തൂടെ? Round tripping. Round tripping is a slightly more technical transaction. At this point of time, when I know all of you are a little thirsty or hungry, I don't want to take you through what a round tripping is. Basically, പല accounts വഴിയും ഫണ്ട് മാറ്റിയെടുക്കുക. To put it in the most simplest of the terms, let me call it circular transactions. How this actually happens is will take at least 1 hour for me to explain how this is done. It is also known as shifting of balances. So, എൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ നിന്ന് ഇപ്പം ഞാൻ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ചെറിയ എക്സാമ്പിൾ തന്നെ, this 50,000 into 20 coming back to my account, that itself is also an example of one way of round tripping. Okay. ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഫ്രോഡ് നടക്കുന്നത് ഏത് മേഖലയിലാണ്? This is only statistics. ഇത് 100% ഇതാണെന്ന് എനിക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. This is basically ഒരു rough estimates ആണ്. Most of the frauds in our country, or I would say across the world, happens in the field of real estate, where land and building is involved. Then where is the second largest? Financial sector, financial institutions, insurance sector and all that. And then of course you have the telecom sector, manufacturing and the others coming in. So just to give you an indication, എവിടെയാണ് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ frauds നടക്കണമെന്നുള്ളത്, that is the whole purpose of showing this. Quickly, how to detect these corporate financial frauds? So to take each point written over here is a detailed subject, but just to give you a quick view, review of the transactions, review of books of accounts. When you review books of accounts, I gave you the example of a Mercedes-Benz that was not there, really there, but it was there in the books of accounts. So review of the books of accounts could reveal frauds like that. We spoke about sales happening, sundry receivables of 1 lakh not received for 1 year, and then you inquiring why it has not come for 1 year. Isn't it that you have seen the bank statements? Bank statements le amount vannayittu kandilla, whereas books of accounts le bank entry ittittundu. And why is this external evidence is marked in bold and a different font over here, different color over here, is to basically tell you that when it comes to transaction review, when it comes to forensics, we always collect external evidences. There are two types of evidences: internal evidences and external evidences. Internal evidences are more to do with the books of accounts maintained by the company, by the entity, or their own records and registers. That is something. But then what if you get proof of something from outside? Let's say directly from the bank, you're getting the bank statement, you're getting information from the bank, you're getting information from third party who dealt with the company. That is more credible, because that cannot be cooked up by the management. That is why the importance of external evidence is so high when it comes to forensic audit. Then of course your ledger analysis of books of accounts, critical analysis of transaction, questioning the transaction or viewing the transaction with an eye of suspicion. This is the review procedure that we normally adopt to get evidences in forensic accounting. And of course financial statement analysis, we have already spoken about this. Non-disclosure of facts. Okay, the common question that is asked is non-compliance of law a fraud? Non-compliance of law is usually a red flag, need not necessarily be a fraud. This is a very common mistake which people make, that non-compliance with laws are told as frauds, are reported as frauds, whereas it need not be the case. As a forensic auditor, they give you indications of fraud. We have to further inquire to find out if there was a fraudulent motive, a deliberate act of omission. Bank borrowers, I think most of this we have discussed already in the examples that I gave. Usually in banking, what we see is whenever, let's say, a loan is given to a borrower, there are conditions attached to it. So usually we look for non-compliance of these conditions. Like one of the conditions could be that you have to use the amount given as loan to you for the purpose for which it was given. If it is a housing loan, then you are supposed to purchase a house. You cannot purchase a Mercedes. So I'm just giving you a simple example. Diversion of funds to other people, to related parties, associates. Misrepresentations of financials. We spoke about misrepresentation of financials. Boosting of inventories. I remember I told you, illata stock ulladayittu kanikka, just to show that I have higher level of security with me. False projections. I spoke about projected financial statements. False documents of title. Remember, we spoke about the same house and loans taken from two different banks based on by giving the security of the same property. So forgery or false documents. This is what normally happens in the case of bank frauds. That is what, as a forensic accountant, you would be looking for. Internal frauds, of course, teaming and leading. Wherever there is sharing of passwords or bypass of controls, there will be frauds happening within the banks among the employees. We spoke about this system controls, verification, interview of personnel. Now coming to interview, I have a few. Yeah, the interview process. One of the main processes in a forensic audit that we do is to interview the people who are involved. It could be the employees of the company, it could be the top management. So one thing what we need to understand is that while being a forensic auditor, we don't have the powers of a police or a CBI. We are not Sethuramaiah CBI. We don't have all those powers. So the interview process that we do has to be very soft and sensible. We cannot be intimidating to the people who are being interviewed. In fact, it is done very casually. ഈ കോട്ടും ടൈയും ഒക്കെ ഇട്ടുകൊണ്ട് പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ആരും ഒന്നും പറയില്ല. ഒരു ജീൻസും ടീഷർട്ടൊക്കെ ഇട്ടിട്ട് ക്യാൻറ്റീനിൽ ചെന്നിരുന്ന് ചായ കുടിച്ചുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കും ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഈ ഇന്റർവ്യൂ പ്രോസസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Okay, you can't be too formal because they are alert when you show too much of seriousness. This cannot be the situation when you are doing interviews in a forensic audit. Like the picture says it all. This is not the way we will be able to interrogate. It is an interview process, it is not an interrogation process. So normally before we do the interview process, we do a preparation, we do mock interviews in our office. We give training to our team. We tell them how we have to approach and talk to different people and try to gather as much of information as possible. Interview is a process by which we gather information. What is to be avoided? Team interrogation, group interview, bright lights, all these things have to be avoided. Alright, so coming to the last part, I think it's about past 12. So time to close the session. So ultimately, ending with where we started from, the whole process of forensic audit and investigation in a financial sector is to collect evidence and document it so that we are able to. And what could be the evidences? It could be testimonies based on interviews, documentary evidences, digital evidences, physical evidences, external confirmations, circumstantial evidences, eyewitness, and whatever we have observed. So all these things have to be put together, put in the form of a report, which is given to the management, which can be produced in the court of law as an evidence for punishing the fraudster or the criminal. So again, talking about reporting, there is a forensic audit reporting standards are there, which clearly tell you how exactly to. There are templates given, but which also tell you that in your report you have to explain all these things. The scope, the observations, the hypothesis, everything has to be explained in detail. How you have concluded that a fraud has happened or so and so is a fraudster, with evidences supporting your observations. Finally, the challenges. Yes, a lot of challenges are faced while doing forensic audit, forensic accounting. In the case of a normal audit, it is very easy. The management supplies all the information to you. People come to you with information. In forensic audit, nobody comes to you with information. You have to go and gather it. And understanding the business becomes a challenge because nobody is prepared to explain to you. Credibility, sometimes the evidence that you get may be fake. So we have to be very careful to verify the credibility of the evidence obtained so that it is acceptable in the court of law. For example, an audio recording, what you get from your mobile phone, WhatsApp voice notes, if you take it to the court as an evidence, the court will not accept it. It is not considered as a good evidence in court. The courses that you can probably think of if anybody is aspiring to be a forensic auditor: Certified Forensic Accountant, it's an American degree. Most popular one is CFE. The third one, Certified Fraud Examiner. It is conducted by the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, ACFE. And of course, we chartered accountants have got a certification given by our own institute on forensic accounting and fraud examiner. So that's it from my part. Now I'll open the floor. If anybody has got any queries specifically to in this subject, if anybody has got more interest in the subject, I'll be happy to take questions. Anyone?
Anyone having any questions, doubts, or generally practical doubts you're having related to audit and anything you can ask?
Yeah, anything. Even if it is relating to, if you have the time for it, I don't mind. I don't want to stand in between them and the break. But if anything you want to ask about CA or audit or forensics or anything relating to finance, if I know, I'll be happy to take the questions and answer.
Any doubts regarding your... Sir, I have a doubt that is actually not related to...
No, it need not be related to forensics. No problem.
Sir,